Hey everybody, and welcome to this Silver Log. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at signs for the parabolic up move within the technical analysis time frame. Fundamentally, the signs are all here. Movement towards people understanding how currency is created, the Mayan calendar ending within this time frame, but the biggest one are people understanding fiat money at a large level. We'll start off with this quarter day chart. There's no times or dates in here, but they don't really mean too much. It's all about chart pattern. And we're looking at what we had before were signs of parabolic up moves. Because for a market crash, which is really in here, what you normally need to see happen is a pattern of lower highs and lower lows, something like this, but ultimately you need support to be broken towards the downside. Maybe you need major straight horizontal lines to be breaking towards the downside. Say an example for the stock market, 10,000 was this psychological number. When that level broke, the market fell pretty fast. So those are the types of signs that you're looking for. Now, as far as a horizontal number, that's 50. That's the plain, simple number 50. That might not even be the number, but it's definitely the best one you can come up with. Now, as far as the opposite of support levels breaking to the downside for a market crash, you would need resistance levels breaking to the upside for the parabolic up moves. We had this trend line in here, but the rate of ascent, it was a pretty decent sized rate, but can definitely be bigger. And you notice when you're not finding support in here that what's happening is most likely you've broken the resistance line to the upside, and thus you've established a higher rate of ascent. The only way you can ever make these parabolic up moves is if you increase the rate of ascent. And there we've seen how it broke it, found support, and lifted off higher. So the next trend line that was established was this one in here, a higher rate of ascent. Same thing again in here. You're not finding support at this level. You're breaking away from it. Thus, you have a higher rate of ascent, and you've most likely broken the resistance line to the upside, which you don't need to even put a trend line to see that it broke it, but in this case, it did. So therefore, what's the higher rate of ascent? There we have it. You see in here that it's breaking above this level, and when you're doing this more often than not, then more alert signs for the parabolic breakouts occur. So if you're selling your whole position on 50, you're really making a big, or you did make a big gamble here, because very often there's a possibility where this level shows a fake move, you find a confirmation breakout, you break this level, boom, you're going huge to the upside. Now, if you sold here and rebought back on the breakout at 53, 54, then that would be a different case. Because if you're looking for the breakout and it's breaking the resistance lines, it's a fast market. A lot of times, it's very hard to get your plays in, especially within the physical bullion, because when the market was falling here, it was very hard to sell your bullion because it happened in the morning. Same thing in here. It happened in the morning. Now, I wanted to sell a little bit at this point here, but it was really not possible. It went down a little too much for my liking. And then some people may say this was a sign it was going to go lower. It's a sign that it could go lower, but at the same point, when you have a big volatile down move happen within an uptrend that quickly regains it, those are signs again to look for. So future possibilities when this happens, this brings bullish sentiment. Now we had the market crash in here, which is not normal for the market to crash when you're in a major uptrend. It's almost as if having the parabolic up move happen in silver back in 2001 when it's at $4 an ounce and seeing the market go all the way up to 11, 12, and then just breaking it. No, that just doesn't make sense. Now, when this would make sense is if something fundamentally happened. If some sort of advancement of technology we had an increase of 500, 800, 1,000% in mining production, then that's going to do it. That's going to make the price go lower. But it was margins. It's a phony reason for why the market went down towards the downside. Therefore, today, the only sign that we have for a parabolic breakout on a technical level within this particular chart is that we've had explosive volatility, which is what is needed for explosive up moves to occur. Fundamentally, all the reasons are still there. Now, the likelihood it happens when you're still below the big 1/3 Fibonacci, let alone the 2/3 Fibonacci, is unlikely, but it's also something to look in for because you want to develop the pattern of higher highs and higher lows and have these trend lines get taken out. Because at some point, what's going to happen is these trend lines that I show will look similar to this, and it will break a resistance line with most likely massive volatility towards the upside. That's why I've been talking about on the hourly chart that 2% bar, because that level I would expect to be taken out again, and at least one of those times, and probably only one of those times, for that of a parabolic move upwards. What we'll do now within this chart is we will reduce the or increase the amount of days and increase the height. There we go. We got this up to past above 75. Above 75 now within more days. And there was a trend line that I've talked about that goes back to 2010, the start of the rally. And that's the level that I need to see get taken out for there to be a parabolic up move. And the rate of ascent is less than this one in here. I don't know exactly what the rate is, but it did happen to meet somewhere like this. Therefore, mathematically speaking, if I want the other move or the other trend line to be taken out for parabolic, this one hit would mean we're already in a parabolic state, or we're just confirming the parabolic move. Now what we see in here today is that we might be developing possibly an inverted head and shoulders pattern if we come back and break this neckline. Who knows what will happen. However, what I have done is hypothetical moves that could or could not come into play. Now the difference of these moves in here compared to in here is, one, you're getting more violent down moves than we had before, but at the same point, larger up moves. If this type of scenario comes into play, then it's really watch out, basically. And it's actually normal to happen because we've set the bar for increased volatility, which I've really been expecting for years to occur in or around the time that the currency collapses. Now, I didn't expect the price to be this low when the currency was going to fall. I thought maybe we'd stabilize between 60 to 80, 60 to 90, and then at some point there have the move, and maybe that still might happen. Again, I don't know. So what we're looking for the parabolic moves, it's simple as can be: resistance lines and an upward trend to break to the upside on several different occasions like we have seen before. In that case, we can see here that this trend line, again, not finding support. Now the difference in here is that support's not found, but it hasn't broken resistance either. In this situation, breaking this level, you would have no choice but to have a higher uptrend line, and thus moving closer towards the collapse of the currency. This is an example of what might happen in here. Now let's look more in depth to what occurred, or what could occur. This is all fake. This is all estimates, guesses. Now, I made sure that I made this look as realistic as possible. Within this, you had to move back up to 50. Now, notice it had a very fast move back down to the low 40s, which is a move of about 20%. And it recaptures it really fast, makes nominal highs and comes back, finds support, and then lifts off. And before the hyperbolic move, another situation where it has this move, and then when these things fail, then they go parabolic. No guarantee that we're going to have the failed moves before it happens, although it would be likely. So again, we'll take a look at how these trend lines break. This one, and now all of a sudden you would have this one. When we look at other trend lines, like the one I was showing before, it would be above this. So therefore, if it would be above this level here, it would be above the other trend line that I've talked about, which is obviously lower than where this one is today. And when this happens, what will we be saying at this point? Because I've talked about this 78 level, and this upside Fibonacci has only been way too perfect for how well it's played out, which is at 75, 78, right in here, which has found no resistance whatsoever. Once again, this is not real. But what I've been talking about on Fibonacci, if you've been looking at how key levels work, when you're at a key level that's supposed to find support or resistance and it doesn't, it often means that the fast moves will continue, sort of like in here when $39 was not found as support, the fast move continued. Therefore, if we ever get into a situation where we're at this level where it's supposed to find resistance and it doesn't, then that should mean that it would be taking us to the next level, and the next level from 75 is 120. Now, it doesn't mean that in 3 or 4 candles in a spot like this and we get there. Maybe it would take some time to develop towards there, and maybe the support level would be 75. Maybe this would be the pierce above, and it would come back here. Because what would happen on a parabolic move like this is the movements would continue to get wild. It would have to take some time to settle out. Maybe it could be something in this area here, and a lot of times it has to do something like this just to settle out, because you have a move where you go up 20% in a day, then there's nothing uncommon with giving back 2% in 20 minutes or 7% in a day. That would be quite normal. So I'm going to end this video. It's over 10 minutes. The main secret is looking for resistance lines to break towards the upside. It's the only possible way, mathematically speaking, for parabolic moves to even occur. Take care.